Welcome to Breakup Cheater, where we dive deep into the darkest corners of human emotion, betrayal, and shocking real-life stories. From heartbreak to revenge, every story will grip you, haunt you, and leave you questioning trust, love, and loyalty. If you crave suspense, raw emotion, and unforgettable twists, you've come to the right place. Hit that subscribe button and join us as we uncover tales that will stay with you long after the video ends. The moment she said it, the words struck deeper than any blade could. I can't stand him anymore. Julia's voice had been calm, almost casual, like she was announcing the weather, not the death of a marriage. Alex felt the room spin around him, coffee cup trembling in his hands. He stared at her, searching for a trace of the woman he had loved for 12 years. But she was gone, replaced by someone cold, indifferent, cruel even. You can't mean that, he whispered, disbelief cutting through his chest. I do, she said, folding her arms, her eyes sharp. I can't keep pretending, Alex. I need space. He wanted to scream, beg, to plead. But something in him snapped, not out of anger, but a quiet, devastating clarity. Julia had made her choice, and now he had to make his. By the next morning, Alex was gone. Not angrily, not in a fight. He vanished. He left behind the apartment they had shared for over a decade, leaving only a few things on the counter. A note, a box, and the faint scent of his cologne lingering in the air. Julia woke to the silence, the absence of his habitual morning hums, and the realization that he had left without a word. On the kitchen counter, a neatly folded note caught her eye. Julia, it began, you said you couldn't stand me anymore. Maybe you were right. But before you start celebrating your newfound freedom, I want you to see what you've destroyed. Not just us, but yourself too. Everything I've left behind isn't just objects. It's memories, consequences, and the truth. Read carefully. Beneath the note was a small, polished wooden box. Inside, she found a stack of envelopes, each labeled with dates spanning the past 3 years. Her hands shook as she opened the first one. Inside was a photograph of her, at the office holiday party, laughing, arm wrapped around her coworker Dan. A note on the back read, December 12, 2020. You said it was nothing. I saved it anyway. Her stomach turned to ice. She hadn't realized Alex knew. Not about the kisses stolen behind closed doors. Not about the whispered messages she had thought were private. Every lie, every betrayal, every secret she had buried so deep. It was all here. The envelopes kept coming. Some contained receipts of extravagant gifts she had claimed were for Alex but were secretly returned or given to Dan. Others were screenshots of flirtatious messages, hotel bookings, and meetings she had tried to hide. Alex had been patient, collecting every piece of evidence, not to confront her in anger, but to ensure she couldn't deny what she had done. Julia's breath caught as she flipped through them. How did he know? She whispered to herself, panic creeping in. At the bottom of the box was a final envelope, thicker than the rest. Inside, Alex had left a letter. I loved you more than I loved myself, Julia. I forgave you again and again, hoping you'd find your way back to honesty. But you chose betrayal. And now I've chosen to leave. Not out of hate, but out of self-preservation. You'll have the life you wanted, free of me, but remember this. Nothing can erase the truth. I've made arrangements to ensure that every lie, every secret, every selfish act you've committed comes to light. By the time you realize it, I'll be gone. I'm not asking for your apology. I don't want it. I just want you to understand the gravity of what you've lost. Farewell, Alex. Julia's knees buckled. The apartment felt too big, too silent, too empty. She sank onto the couch, the letters and photographs scattered around her like jagged shards of glass. For the first time, she truly saw the man she had married, the man who had loved her with unwavering patience, who had caught every whisper of her deceit, who had vanished not in rage, but with quiet, precise devastation. Days turned into a week, and Julia tried to move on, but the absence was suffocating. At first, she tried calling him, texting, even emailing. But Alex had disappeared completely. No forwarding address. No trace. It was as though he had been erased from the world. Then came the calls from her office, the messages from friends, even strangers, people she barely knew. They were all the same. "Julia, this is serious. You need to see this." Confused and fearful, she followed the trail. Her once private indiscretions, carefully hidden, had begun to surface. Screenshots posted online, photographs sent to Dan's wife, receipts and evidence of deceit circulated anonymously to her colleagues. Her career was unraveling. Her social circle, once a safety net, now turned into a stage for public scrutiny. And through it all, Julia could feel Alex's presence. Not physically, but in the way every revelation seemed timed, deliberate, unavoidable. It was only when she returned to their now empty apartment that she realized the final part of his plan. On the living room wall, which had once been covered with their shared photos, a single framed picture hung. It was of Alex, standing alone at a beach at sunrise, smiling faintly, holding a letter in his hand. Beneath the frame, a small plaque read, "I left, but I will always remember love, not betrayal. The rest is yours to face." Julia collapsed to the floor, sobbing not just from fear, but from the crushing weight of guilt and loss. For years, she had taken his love for granted, assuming forgiveness was infinite. Now she understood the truth. Some departures weren't about anger, they were about finality. In the weeks that followed, Julia's life continued to unravel. Colleagues avoided her, whispers followed her down office corridors, and friends she had once confided in seemed distant, wary. Every move she made felt like a performance under Alex's invisible gaze. She realized she had traded years of love for fleeting desires, and now there was no one to save her from herself. She tried to piece together what Alex had done in his absence. The box, the photographs, the letters, it was more than documentation. It was strategy. He had disappeared from her life physically, yet his careful planning ensured that the truth, the totality of her betrayal, would hit her like a tsunami. And yet, amid the shame, Julia couldn't help but feel a pang of longing. Alex had been methodical, yes, but there was no hate in his departure, only dignity. She had destroyed him emotionally, but he had risen above, leaving her to face the ruin she had created. Months passed. Julia moved to a new apartment, changed jobs, tried to rebuild her life, but nothing felt the same. Every corner of her new space reminded her of Alex. Every smile she forced felt hollow. And every time she checked her phone she hoped, though she knew it was futile, for a message, a sign that he might return. But Alex didn't return. Until one day, nearly 6 months later, she received a small, unmarked envelope in the mail. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a single photograph of Alex, standing in a crowded marketplace in a distant city, alive and smiling. On the back, in his familiar handwriting, a simple message. "I am free. And I hope one day you can be too." Julia stared at the photo for hours, tears streaming down her face. The man she had loved, the man she had betrayed, had survived without her. He had rebuilt himself, vanished from her world not in revenge, but in pursuit of his own peace. And in that moment, Julia realized something she hadn't understood before. She had lost not just Alex, but the chance to be the person he had believed she could be. Years later, Julia would still think of Alex. She would sometimes wander past the places they had loved, clutching memories now tinged with regret. But she would never forget the lesson he had taught her without ever raising his voice. Love is patient, but patience is not infinite. Betrayal leaves a mark, and sometimes the most powerful revenge is simply to disappear, leaving the betrayer to face the full weight of their choices. And Alex? He had vanished from her life, but not from her memory. He had left behind nothing but truth, dignity, and a haunting reminder that love, once broken, could never be fully reclaimed. Thank you for watching this story on Breakup, Cheater. If it left you speechless or made your heart race, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life tales of betrayal, heartbreak, and suspense. And don't forget to turn on notifications, because the next story might be closer to your reality than you think. Until next time, remember, trust is fragile, and secrets always have a way of coming to light.